The journey to discovering the elements that make up your style will invariably overlap. You'll notice the colors you choose are often used by artists you admire, for example. Your preferred subject matter and how you approach it can be influenced by the technique or medium you use to create your work. So here's an example of 3 bears I drew. The medium I used for each one has a different impact on the final look of each bear. But where there's cohesion is my interpretation of the subject matter. They're all whimsical, and although there's elements of realism, they're made up characters and they sit more in the world of fantasy rather than reality. Work your way through page 10 of the workbook, where it includes a variety of questions about your preferred medium. Then tackle clarifying your process on the next page. Even if you don't have a solid process in place yet, it'll still benefit you to write down your thoughts. As you grow, I highly recommend coming back to this exercise in a few months to refine. Describing your workflow can be a really helpful exercise so you can understand where you might be wasting time, or which parts you are good at, or which parts you really love. By pure accident, I did this exercise one day when I was trying to figure out how to speed up my workflow. It led me to discover and solidify my style. It was kind of like a eureka moment. So go ahead and finish those exercises in the workbook, and I will see you in the next lesson. Mimicking artists you admire is a great way to test drive a style you are drawn to. There's absolutely nothing wrong with copying someone's work at the beginning phases of your creative journey. But, and it's an enormous but, copying someone else's work must be for learning purposes only. Never sell or claim ownership of work you've copied. As my good friend Ian Barnard once said, copy to learn, not to earn. It's a private exercise for the sole purpose of exploration and improving your skills. But I also want to caution you to not spend too much time copying other people's work, as you run the risk of becoming a clone. So rather spend time analyzing their style and trying elements of their style in your work to see if it resonates. Then spend time exploring that style in your own work to develop your unique angle or take on it. I really admire Disney artists and how they manage to inject so much life into their characters. So to teach myself these skills and analyze how they do this, I spend some time copying a few of their characters. Then I create my own characters to apply what I've learned, in the hopes that I can improve my own skills to help me create my vision much easier. I recommend creating a Pinterest board of artwork that you admire. Many people will advise you to list the names of artists you admire. My advice is not to do that. Instead, focus on the art itself and not the artist who created it. I know this sounds kind of nitpicky, but it's important to train your brain to rather analyze the work and understand why you chose it, and not get distracted by who created it. This will serve you much better in understanding the choices you make. Once you've pinned the artwork that you admire to your board, go ahead and complete the artwork analysis section in the workbook. And I'll see you in the next lesson. Subject matter and how you approach it can not only influence your style, it can truly solidify your niche as an artist. If you're hoping to get hired as an artist in a particular industry like editorial or fabric design, what you create and how you create it can influence who hires you. This is why it's really important to create work you want to be hired for. If you want to be hired to illustrate children's books, for example, spending time drawing buildings is probably not the best way to improve your skills as a children's book illustrator. You would benefit far more if you spent your time creating animals and human characters. That's not to say you can't ever draw buildings, but as I've said previously, we want to solidify our style and get really good at it. So focusing on the subject matter you want to be hired for is the best approach. I really love drawing and painting portraits, which I still do from time to time, but without a doubt my skill development and focus is on creating cute animals, as this is my niche and it's how I make my living. I also wanted to show you an example of how my skill level has improved over the years. I knew I wanted to create whimsical, cute characters, but my skill level didn't match my taste level. So I focused all my energy on trying to create cute animals and cute characters, and over time my skills have improved. And although there's always room for improvement, I think I've really solidified my particular approach to the subject matter I tackle. As embarrassing as it is to show you my old work, I'm hoping it's going to encourage you and illustrate to you that with hard work and determination, you can definitely reach your artistic goals. Congrats for reaching this point. I know self-analysis is never easy, so you're doing really well. By now you should be getting a much clearer idea of your style and the creative choices you tend to make or want to develop. As a final exercise, use the template provided to create your signature style card. Previously, we spoke about having a container, so this will be a summary of your preferences in the form of a container. First, you want to pick a limited color palette of 5 colors only from your signature color palette you created, and then add them to the card. I know 5 sounds a little scary, but it'll be a good exercise in restricting your choice to get clarity on your core preferences. Remember to think about the base color, the complementary, neutral, and a variety of tone for contrast. Then draw your container in the medium of your choice using the limited palette. It can literally be anything. There is no restriction, just free expression. Perhaps it's a teacup, maybe it's a cookie jar, or the inside of a poppy flower, for example. Then finally, analyze your container and the choices you made. Add some keynotes, some words and thoughts inside and around your actual drawing, just to summarize your style and the choices you made. So this is what my style card looks like. This is the limited palette I chose. Then I drew my container and I got a little carried away with it, which is exactly the point. Don't restrict yourself, follow your heart on this one and let your imagination take the lead. And then finally, these are my thoughts and scribbles about my choices I made. You should now have a beautiful signature style card completely unique to you. Use it as a springboard when creating your artwork going forward. Make as much art as possible, as often as possible. We're all excited to see your personality shine through your work. Happy creating!